Welcome to Around the House, sponsored by Romac Building Supply. I'm your host, Don Magruder. If you like today's show, go to aroundthehouse.tv where you can sign up for our YouTube channel and our weekly newsletter. In this segment of Around the House, Daniel Osborne from DRR Drywall will be joining us to show us how to repair damaged drywall in your home. Every day drywall is getting damaged, and how it's repaired makes a difference. If you can see a drywall repair after it's complete, then it probably wasn't done correctly. So with that, I'd like to introduce Daniel Osborne from DRR Drywall Repair. Daniel, how are you doing today?
I'm well. Thanks, Don, for having us on.
Man, we are glad to have you here. You're the brain surgeon of drywall repair. That's what they call you. Why do they call you the brain surgeon of drywall repair?
Well, drywall is a lot like a headache. You have three types of headache. The first kind of headache, you get something from your mom or your cousin, not strictly legal, but it'll make it go away. Second kind of headache is when, it's 2-3 weeks, it won't go away. You go to the doctor, you get your own prescription, and that's okay. And then there's a third type of a headache, 2-3 months, won't go away. Now you're going to need surgery. And so that's the equivalent of, just one for a couple of days. That's going to be like your handyman. Just come in and fix it. And then if it's been a couple of weeks and you have to get somebody else, you just kind of go to your general practitioner. That's the guy basically just out of the phone book, or you just kind of know. But when you got to have surgery, when it has to be right, you get a hold of us, DRR Drywall.
And the thing about it, there's different levels of drywall finish, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later. But
sure,
the higher degree of drywall finish, the more expertise. But take a few minutes and tell us about Daniel Osborne and DRR Drywall.
Well, thank you again for having us on the show. So DRR Drywall was started in March of 2009. And Don, you and your associates have always treated us so well. We started out the back of a Jeep Cherokee with a drywall hammer. And literally, if you go onto our Facebook page and some of the different mediums that we have out there, you'll be able to see we came from very humble and modest beginnings. But we have established a name in the community by sticking to our guns. We're not just going to do some sort of halfway repair.
Daniel, if someone heard anything on today's show and they want to ask you about it, what's a good number they can call you, or website they can refer to you?
Sure. So the most holistic approach for listeners and viewers would be to go to our website, which is drrdrywallrepair.com. And that's all one word.
Daniel, you do a lot of drywall repairs every day. What's the most common drywall repairs you're seeing these days?
With the advent of the hurricanes in the area, we're still getting a lot of phone calls about ceiling repairs and water damage.
So ceiling repairs, the stains and falling down.
Correct.
What about holes in the wall and stuff? Do you see much of that?
Oh, every once in a while we'll have someone with a disgruntled teenager or a moving oops. Sometimes you'll have an entire section of wall that someone removed halfway through remodeling, and now they realize that it's got to go back together, and they need a professional to come in and make it look like it never happened.
What are the characteristics? How can someone say for sure, I've got a good drywall repair? In other words, they have a piece of damage, maybe some moisture damage or a hole in the wall, and they come back and they say, well, this is the characteristics of a good drywall repair.
Well, a good drywall repair really depends upon the technician. So typically in my industry, you want someone between the ages of 35 to 53, half drunk, and the tools in the back of their pickup truck.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, because they're old enough to know how to do it right. They have some level of inebriation, which lets you know that they've been working, and you can confirm that that money to get those liquids was had not by pawning their tools in the back of their pickup truck. What we're able to offer is we don't drink, smoke, curse, or do drugs. We are state licensed, insured, carry a $2 million policy, and show up when we're supposed to and believe in a flawless repair profile. And so a good drywall repair is like a good marriage. You have to point out things. Oh, they talk nicely to one another. He buys her flowers. But you ever been on a bad double date, Don? About 7 minutes in, you're like, oh, I got a phone call. I'm so sorry, we're going to have to leave. You know it from a mile away. A good drywall repair is imperceptible to the average eye. You can't tell the difference.
The other thing is when you do a drywall repair, drywall is messy. You've got mud, you got sanding, you got dust. How do you keep all that from going throughout the home?
So to some of our industry compatriots and fellow tradesmen, I have the dubious pleasure of being called the bubble boy. So we erect typically 1.5 mil plastic around the entire repair area if we're going to have to debride the surface. And that's especially true when you have to grind back knockdown texture. If it's something like an orange peel, which is just a very, very fine texture on the walls, you typically cover the floor and then the walkway to the repair area, but you don't necessarily have to tent the entire area. But if we're going to kick up any amount of dust, I would say greater than a quarter of an ounce, or basically what you could put into the top of a Coke bottle top, then we're going to go ahead and tent that entire area.
Let's talk a little bit about textures. What type of textures do most people see, and what type of textures on the drywall are you dealing with?
Sure. So typically in this area, there's 4 or 5 different texture profiles that are going to present themselves. Knockdown, which typically, if it's done correctly, looks like a leopard rolled around all over the walls. It's slightly higher raised areas with a flat or micro dimpling behind.
Okay.
You have an orange peel, which looks literally like the face of an orange, or if you can imagine concrete, it's just a little bit dimpled, a little bit of structure. You also have, in some of the older homes around here, a hawk and trowel, which is where it looks like the waving of the seas on the seashore, but it's a laid down. You have stipple, which is a rolled on texture, and that looks almost like stalactites. And then in a very few instances, you may have what's considered a micro orange peel or a smooth, which is not typically in this area smooth, but it's almost no texture at all.
But the goal is to completely match the texture of the rest of the room so you don't have to do the remainder of it.
That's correct, and the majority of the time we have the capacity to do that.
Well, you know, Daniel, rather than talk about drywall repair, we're about to go to the Romac Building Supplies show and tell desk, and Daniel's going to give us some tips on how to repair drywall, show you some of the tips and tricks he uses. I think you're going to find it real interesting. See you in just a few moments. Welcome back to Around the House, sponsored by Romac Building Supply. I'm your host, Don Magruder, and joining me at the Romac Building Supplies show and tell desk is Daniel Osborne. He's the owner of DRR Drywall. He's a brain surgeon of drywall repair, and you really are, and you're going to show us some things that are real neat. In fact, I've learned a lot just sitting there watching this. Daniel, what is that?
So this is something that's considered a blowout patch or cali patch, just depending on what part of the country you're from. But this is a standard piece of drywall, and this is about as big of a piece in a traditional application as what you would like to use. It's a regular piece of drywall, and on the back side, you want to cut this back somewhere typically between 3/4 of an inch and 1 1/4 inches.
Okay.
So you score the back side of the drywall, and as you can see, I've already gone ahead and torn it off clean on 3 sides.
Okay.
So the trick is to do it clean. And so what you'll do is once you score it, you snap it, you cut it, and then you go ahead and you peel that off.
Wow.
And look at that.
So that would just fill a hole from the outside.
Fills a hole from the outside. You simply go ahead and you back butter this. And so you'll put your mud here, here, on all 4 sides, and then make sure that this is good and clean so it's just the paper. And then you'll go ahead and put that into the squared off hole. Typically, you want about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch on either side. And then you go ahead and apply the patch there and smooth it down. And you should be using green top mud or a taping type of compound for that.
So when your wife throws that frying pan, makes a little hole in the wall, that's how you just cut out a little square and do that?
Yeah, you just take care of it that way.
That is great. Now, what do we have here? This is treated wood and drywall, and this is a bigger repair, isn't it?
This is a bigger repair. So really, this type of repair, if you're working in a larger structure, you're going to go ahead and screw off on your studs or on your trusses as appropriate. But this is great because most of the homes here in the villages in the Lake Sumter County area, they're going to be up to 24 inches on center.
Right.
So you could very well, if you slip, fall getting out of the tub, if you're moving, that very nice couch in the home, there's a problem. You're going to have a larger hole, and the blowout patch is not necessarily appropriate for that because the defect is too large. And so what you do is you go ahead and square off that hole, and then we install a piece of 3/4 inch backing material with an 1 1/8 or 1 1/4 screw. And as you can see, it doesn't come through the back, maybe just a tiny little bit.
So you'd cut a hole out this side.
That's correct.
And I'm assuming you'd take this board and work it through the side and maybe put a screw through the good drywall and hold it in there.
That's correct.
Wow.
So this is actually the second half of the process. The first half would be, this is your wall over here. Put a couple screws every 4 to 6 inches apart, an inch back from the corner, and then your spec is 3/8 of an inch to 1 inch back from the edge, and that allows that any dimpling that may occur would be in the field, not on the edge, and it's puckered up and it
So
looks
you're
a
not
mess.
going to butt the drywall side by side.
So you do butt the drywall side by side. You typically want about 1/8 of an inch tolerance.
Okay.
But you can't put that screw too close to the edge.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Absolutely.
But that attaches to the good portion, then
That's
you
correct.
put the patch here.
Yep.
And that's for your bigger patches.
That's for your bigger patches. That's how you do it correctly.
That's great.
Yes, sir.
Now, what's this? It's an OSB product here. What is this for, Daniel?
Absolutely. So this is a product by one of the primary manufacturers that we love. It's Trim-Tex. And this is a Trim-Tex butt board. And if the camera can pick it up, it's actually a manufactured USB that has a slight concave to it. So if you can see here on the 1x4, see that, Don?
Yeah.
It's not it's not a lot,
Not
but
much.
there's a lot of engineering, and that's what we believe at DRR Drywall. Use the best engineering and the best business practices in serving your clients. And this allows, drywall has two joints. It has a factory joint and then what's called the return or the butt joint.
Right.
That butt joint does not have a recess, which typically you'll see on walls or on ceilings.
And that's where, in some drywall repairs, you'll see that hump.
You can see that hump very much
Yeah.
so. Because if you just do two pieces, like on the one we did here, then that's actually going to kind of be up. This has a slight recess, concave in it. So when the two pieces come together, you lay that tape directly on it, it smooths down, coat of mud, it's truly flat.
Well, you got about a minute. Explain this tape here, Daniel.
Wonderful. So paper tape is traditionally what you see in new construction. It's dependent upon the applicator and the viscosity or how thick that mud is. Problem is that in an outside scenario, it has a tendency to blister and be affected by the heat and the humidity. The type of tape that came after that is one that's been in use for quite some time. This is mesh tape. Now, mesh is good in a quick patch situation, but it must be used only with a chemical setting product.
A hot mud.
A hot mud.
And
correct.
most people don't do that.
Nope, you just grab a big old scoop and slather it on there, and then about a week later it cracks.
And then
This is, we love this for patches. This is a thin profile, and it's by Adfors. And what it's called is FiberFuse. FiberFuse allows you to use either a regular setting compound, which is air, like out of a bucket, or a chem set, which is the hot mud, and it lays down flat, and it works very, very well for patches.
and why do you have masking tape?
Well, you shouldn't have masking tape except
okay.
except for in the case of masking off and covering up. Never use this on a drywall patch.
But Daniel Osborne, you've given us some great tips, and thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank you for watching Around the House today. Be sure to go to aroundthehouse.tv where you can sign up for our YouTube channel and weekly newsletter, plus catch Around the House, the column, weekly in the Daily Commercial. Until next time, we will see you around the house.